They say money changes people. But for the Marwick family, it didn't just change them, it destroyed them. For decades, the Marwicks were one of the most respected families in their small coastal town. They owned businesses, estates, and charities that had stood for generations. Their name was spoken with admiration and a hint of envy. But no one knew that behind their elegant smiles and pristine reputation was a darkness waiting to be unleashed. It began, as most tragedies do, with a death. When a family patriarch, Edward Marwick, passed away at 79, his fortune was estimated at nearly $50 million. Land, art, old money that had been carefully guarded for over a century. His will was sealed until the family gathered at the ancestral home, a sprawling mansion that stood at the edge of a cliff, where waves crashed endlessly below as if trying to warn them. They came together, his 3 children, Thomas, the eldest and businessman, Clara, the quiet and loyal daughter, and Michael, the youngest, known for his reckless charm. For the first time in years, they were under the same roof. And that's when everything started to unravel. The lawyer opened the will and began to read. But Edward hadn't divided the inheritance evenly, not even close. Thomas would inherit the company. Clara would get the mansion and most of the property. And Michael would receive something no one expected, a sealed envelope and a handwritten note that simply read, "You'll understand when the time is right." At first, they brushed it off as one of their father's eccentric gestures. But that envelope and what it contained would become the spark that set fire to the entire family. Michael opened it later that night. Inside was an old photograph, worn and faded, showing their father with a woman none of them recognized, holding a baby. On the back, a single name was written, Eleanor. Michael didn't sleep that night, and by morning, neither did anyone else. Because that photograph had revealed something Edward had hidden for decades, another family. The shock was immediate. Thomas accused Michael of forging it. Clara demanded answers. And soon suspicion turned to rage. Everyone wanted the truth. And as the family dug deeper into their father's past, the truth came crawling out, piece by piece, secret by secret. Edward Marwick had led a double life. While his wife believed he was traveling for business, he was visiting another woman, a woman who had given birth to his child nearly 40 years earlier. The baby, Eleanor, had been raised under another name in another town until she vanished at 16. Police records showed a missing persons report filed in 1986, but quickly withdrawn. And the more they uncovered, the more sinister it all became. There were letters, hidden in Edward's study, begging him for help. There were photographs of a young girl who looked eerily like Clara. And then, one line in a diary that sent chills down their spines. "The sea takes what I cannot keep." Within a week of the will's reading, Clara stopped answering calls. Her car was found parked near the cliffs, keys still inside. Search teams combed the shoreline for days, but her body was never recovered. The media called it the Marwick curse. Soon after, the brothers turned on each other. Thomas accused Michael of orchestrating everything, of planting the photo, of manipulating the will. Michael insisted their father had intended to reveal the truth, to make peace with his mistakes. But the damage was already done. 1 month later, Thomas's company collapsed in scandal. Financial fraud, embezzlement, insider trading. Anonymous tips had been sent to authorities, exposing everything. Michael denied involvement, but it didn't matter. By winter, both men were alone. The mansion stood empty, lights dark, curtains drawn. Then, one night, a neighbor reported seeing someone walking along the cliffs, a figure carrying a lantern, heading toward the edge. Police arrived minutes later. They found the same sealed envelope Michael had once opened, placed carefully on the ground, the name Eleanor written across it again. But this time there was something else inside, a letter. In it, Michael confessed that Eleanor wasn't missing. She had died. He had known all along. He wrote that their father's secret child had drowned when he was still a boy, and that Edward had spent decades covering it up, bribing officials, erasing records, pretending the girl had never existed. When Edward died, he left the truth in that envelope. Not to share, but to warn. Money doesn't buy forgiveness, the letter read. It only buys silence. And silence always finds its voice. After that night, Michael Marwick was never seen again. Some say he fell into the sea, following the path of his sister. Others believe he vanished, carrying the curse of his family's fortune with him. The mansion was sold, abandoned, and eventually condemned after multiple break-ins and strange reports of lights flickering inside. But those who've walked past the cliffs late at night claim they can still see a faint glow, like a lantern swaying in the mist. Maybe it's just the wind, or maybe it's what's left of a legacy that was never meant to be touched. Some stories remind us that the greatest horrors aren't born from strangers, but from the secrets our families bury to protect their name. If you found this story chilling, make sure to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more true crime stories and dark mysteries, where every fortune hides a curse, and every secret has its price.